on mute? Okay, please place yourselves on mute. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. Today is May 18th. This is a public hearing / executive committee meeting. So the first question is why are we having a public meeting and not having it at the full board meeting is because we missed the deadline. No questions asked, please. We missed the deadline. Okay. So the presentation, and Eddie, please chime in whenever you would like, in case I don't have all the information. So the public session is to discuss discussion on the open meeting law, which has been signed by the governor in effect on April 9, 2022. Sorry, I'm reading off my phone, to continue to July 1st, 2024. Okay. So here's what we know. The borough president's office informed us that we had to draft a resolution regarding the open meeting law / in-person virtual meetings that the governor has, as I stated before, April 9th has signed. We were informed that we needed to draft a resolution and to come up with recommendations on those individuals, not individuals per se, but recommendations on excused absences. So that's the first, that was the first step. In addition, in order to have meetings, we have to have a quorum in person. So for example, the resiliency committee is 3 out of 5. 3 members have to be in person. The others can be on Zoom or whatever platform we use. They have the right, correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie, to vote, but they won't be counted towards quorum. Is that correct, Eddie?
Yes, basically they have to.
Yes or no? Eddie,
yes.
Yes or no? Thank you. And then the remaining can be from Zoom. So we can come up with not ideas, but we can come up with, I don't know if I'm using the right wording, but someone help me. We're supposed to come up with reasons as to why certain, I guess, medical conditions or excused absences will be accepted for those that can remain home without violating their medical records and going into, what is it called? HEPA, thank you. So that's the nutshell with the public hearing. Any questions?
Luz?
Yes, Barbara.
Okay.
Let me finish before you jump in.
Okay.
This topic is going to be brought up at the executive committee. So if there's any questions with the public hearing part, let me know. If not, maybe you want to hold it off to the executive part. Any questions on the public hearing? I know I was all over the place, but we are all over the place because we're not getting it together. We're not getting all the information either. Okay, public session closed. Okay, let's move on to the executive agenda. Why don't I have the right agenda in front of me? Okay. Is Lucia here? Lucia. Oh, there you go, dear. Hi. So Lucia and I and Jeff met last week. We met with, I'm changing the agenda a little bit. I'm sorry, because the other topic is going to take longer. Lucia, am I pronouncing it correct? Lee?
Yes.
Okay, because she was very adamant that it had to be Lucia. So Lucia and I and Eddie and Jeff met last week with her and a couple of the candidates for the community assistant position. One of the candidates, we felt that he was not the best fit because, oh goodness, I'm trying to remember, but he was a very nice, sweet gentleman. He wasn't the best fit. Jeff, what was the reasoning? Sorry, I'm all over the place.
He wasn't really involved with
There you go. Thank
Community
you. Cleared my
relations.
mind. Right. Right.
Was it-
Thank you. I got it.
Okay.
He didn't have any community background interest. He was just trying to get in here to learn from the beginning. And when one of the main questions was asked, have you even looked at the websites of community boards? Have you even volunteered for anything in your community? And it was a no. But very nice gentleman, so we decided that that wasn't the best fit. Then we had a cancellation at the last minute. And then we met with Lucia. Her background is in retail, but she held a position. Unfortunately, the position was she was terminated from the position due to COVID. She was holding an administrative position, and the job requires, as you all know, administrative duties in Community Board 13. So we felt that she was the best fit because she's also will be learning new things and is very interested in the community, and she has tried to be very, very much involved in the community. And I believe she lives in Brighton, am I correct?
Luna Park.
Luna Park, so close, yeah. So she lives in Luna Park, and you know, she'll be able to work evenings. She'll be able to work if we ever have some type of events that we've done in the past for a couple of festivals or whatever that we participated in. She'll be able to do all of that. Okay, so she was the best fit, and we didn't have many candidates. I believe we had the posting up for maybe 4 or 5 months, and we've got about 3 or 4 responses. So I'm going to ask a few members if they have any questions for her. She's here, and then we'll vote on based on our bylaws that we need to vote for her to accept get our blessing for the position, and then vote at the full board meeting. So any questions or any questions of me? I'm all over the place today, sorry.
All right,
Joanne.
Joanne. Oh, wait, you gotta unmute, Joanne.
It's Pat Singer. I just was curious, should we deal with the public? Does she have bilingual skills?
All right,
Yeah, I speak Russian also.
Okay,
very well.
Okay.
I have a quick question, and it's not.
Right.
Wait, let's finish with Pat. Pat, are you finished?
Yes, that was a question I had.
Okay, Lucia, you can answer them as I open up to people. Joanne?
This is not for Lucia. This is for you. We were in open session before. We're now in executive session.
Oh.
And everybody is off.
Okay.
That shouldn't be here.
No, it's an executive committee meeting. We
Oh,
went down this topic before. Yes, it's open to the public, we'll meeting.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Thank
not
you,
the way I
Joanne.
read. I'm sorry. Sorry.
No, that's okay. In the past, if you're doing a close, we'll discuss that later, but all meetings are open to the public.
Okay. Fine.
There's certain things that won't be discussed, and I'll say, people, we can't answer that. So I know where you're going with this. If I have an idea. Any other questions for her? Barbara?
How are your computer skills?
So I have worked with Word and Excel, also Smart Sheets, Yardi. I used to work in Macy's, so I am aware of other softwares also. So I'm a quick learner if anything needs to be learned.
Okay.
Any other questions? So you trust Jeff, myself, and Eddie?
Wait, we got Michael.
Michael Silverman?
Yeah, excuse me. What level of competence do you have on Excel?
What do you mean? I know how to use it.
Okay,
Like
and
I could get around a spreadsheet.
you can get around a spreadsheet. Do you know about the formulas and things like that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions? Okay. Well, with that being said, we'll take a vote at the executive committee to have Lucia hired for CB 13 for the community assistant position, and then you vote at the full board and then present it to the borough president's office. Motion to approve? Barbara and Joanne. Hannah, go ahead.
I'm reading from, so every person from the committee, correct? Not just one person?
What?
Only one per committee can vote.
Madam Chair, how do I do this? I have a few people that some have in each committee. So should I call out both names and one of them will give me an answer?
Only one chair of each committee can vote. So yes, you can
Okay.
call both, and then maybe Barbara will say X can vote, and they can decide
Okay,
right here and then.
okay. Lucy Mujica Diaz.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see Michael Russo. So Economic Development, Zunera Ahmed.
Yes.
Education and Library, we have Lakeisha Bowers and Annette Wesley.
Stop, please.
I'm sorry, which
e-
one of,
Either Lakeisha or Annette can vote. Which one?
Yes.
someone? I didn't hear a clear answer. I apologize. There's a background noise.
Wow, that's big.
Oh,
You gonna vote or you want me to vote?
Lakeisha.
You can.
Yes.
Okay, Annette, thank you very much. I got Annette's vote. Thank you. Dion Brown,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Shimon Rankowski,
Yes.
thank you. Lolita Divilova,
Yes.
thank you. From the Parks Committee, we have Susan Flashenberg and Barbara Titlebaum.
Sue, you can take it.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Susan. From the Health Committee, we have Amaryllis Herrera and Queenie Hewling.
Queenie, you can answer it.
Queenie, what is your vote, please?
Oh, Queenie is on the phone, so maybe it might be easier if everyone.
Amaryllis, can you please?
Yes.
Thank you, Amaryllis. I have it. Yelena Mackin,
Yes.
thank you. Jeff Sanoff,
Yes.
thank you. Michael Silverman,
Yes.
thank you. I have from the Housing Committee, Pat Singer Kumali. I believe only Pat Singer's here. Yes, Pat Singer.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Jack Subin,
Yes.
thank you. And Joanne Weiss,
Yes.
thank you. It's unanimous, yes?
Okay, what was the vote?
Sorry, I muted. 14, yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right. The second topic, which again, I'm moving around the agenda, it was tentative, an update on the removal of a board member. A few months ago, we spoke about the removal of Ron Greenberg. Yes, there is no discussion on this, just Oath is having hearings on this topic now, and we should hear within a month or two, and they will let us know their decision. Thank you. Now we're gonna go back to the open meeting law. Oof, this is a whole little puzzle here. Let's see where my notes are at. Okay. I went on with the whole bumbo jumbo about the public hearing, and we did we announced the public hearing. So the Borough President's Office, it notified us that, as I said, June 9th, we have to come up with a resolution. And in the resolution, we need to indicate what other excused absences we will have for people in order for them not to attend in person. Shortly after, we received an email from the law department telling us that community boards do not need to comply with that. So What we need to do, and we will continue to do, is Zoom meetings until, and only until, the governor has lifted. Sorry, again, I'm all over the place. I should have my notes ready and I apologize. Jeff, you want to jump in?
Until the governor lifts the emergency
Mandatory.
status.
The governor makes a mandatory. I don't know, I wrote the notes and I thought they were there. Okay, so for example, we're looking and we're seeing everywhere in the world that everybody doesn't have to wear masks to go to the supermarket, to go to the movie theater, to go to school, blah, 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 blah. But in New York City transit, buses and trains, that's one clear example that people still need to use masks. And that is still required by the governor. So once she or he, whoever's in office at the time, lifts the mandatory requirements for everything, then community boards need to comply with the virtual / in-person meeting requirements. Any questions with that? No questions. Okay, so my understanding is that we need to vote on this. Am I correct, Jeff and Eddie?
Yes,
Yes,
we-
you
we
have to
should
make a
resolution.
declaration
Yes.
from the
Okay, we
community
need to-
board and vote
okay.
on it.
So we need to vote that the community board the community board 13 would like to continue to have virtual meetings, or will continue to have virtual meetings until the governor lifts the mandatory requirement.
I think it's fine. Yes.
Okay, any questions? Again, I'm all over the place with this because we're getting pieces everywhere. And
Barbara? Barbara Santoni?
Lucy, it also said that it doesn't have to be the state, it can even be the city. So if the governor lifts the state of emergency and the mayor doesn't, the way I read it, we can still continue on with virtual. Because it
I
says,
believe the state overrules the mayor. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I don't think so, not in all things. I don't know. But
Well,
that's the
in
way
this
it's
one, it
written.
might be. So, I mean, I heard the news earlier today that he wants to lift everything right away. So, yes, it was on this evening, it was.
Anastasia's here, if you want to speak on that, Anastasia?
Go ahead.
I believe that I don't remember who exactly said that, but the governor overrides the mayor. Yes. And
That's
I
makes
believe
sense.
I will definitely confirm that. But as long as there is a state of emergency, then you are not required to meet in person.
Okay. But we
Okay,
need
so
to vote on
until
it.
the state of emergency is lifted, like for example, the mayor can lift the city of emergency, but still the state of emergency is in effect, and community board follows the guidelines, OML guidelines from the governor's office.
Okay, thank you. Any
All
questions?
right, but again, I will confirm that.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. So any questions? And Marissa?
Barbara raised her hand. Barbara?
Okay, well, we have, oh no, she put it down. Go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, so what I don't understand is that we now have over 10%, things are getting worse. And it seems to me that this one's saying this one, I don't know if they're not on the same page of what's going on in the city.
It's called
and
the
the
power.
state. Go ahead, Joe.
I said it's called the power play. That's what
I
it's called.
hear, wait till you hear my next one, Barbara. So basically,
Okay.
we're voting on, we were told by the law department that we can continue, I'm gonna use the word Zoom, but it's virtual. We can continue Zoom meetings until the governor lifts the mandatory requirements. When will that happen? Today, tomorrow, next week, next month? I don't know. So the vote on the table right now is to continue Zoom meetings. And I'm sure that everyone's gonna vote yes.
Yes.
So any other questions? Yes, Joanne.
If we're gonna do Zoom meetings, then how do we go forward with the election?
Well, we'll discuss that. We did the last election that way, so we'll
Yes.
talk. Okay,
Okay.
the last election, Barbara Santonis, I believe it was her. She just called people's names and you told her who you voted for because those votes are not private anymore, they're public.
Okay.
I mean, they were private in a way because you checked the box and then anyone could have came to the office the next day and looked at the sheet, but we're doing Zoom, so you would have to call Lucy or whoever's running against Lucy, and you would have to just say you're voting for them openly.
But am I correct? In the last election, nobody had any opposition?
Right, no,
Right.
right,
So
but this
Barbara-
one we do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Barbara was able to cast a one vote. Now you have one of the positions, you have the opposition.
So far,
So-
yes. So you would have to just vote openly.
You
We have
vote
no
for the
choice.
person, you vote for the person that who
You
you
want.
choose to be chair, first vice chair, et
Listen,
cetera, et
it's
cetera.
either you say it on the screen, and it really doesn't, to my own personal opinion, it doesn't matter because the next day, the person could go into the office and say, look, let me look at the
Right.
sheets.
Right.
I mean, that's my personal opinion.
Okay.
The vote has always been public record.
The next day.
The
Yes.
next day.
Oh, no,
So-
the public record, you're right. But the next day, who voted for whom? Correct, Susan?
Yeah, it has always been open to anyone who wants to see who voted for who.
The
So
only
we might
reason
as
I
well,
said to do it the next day, because I didn't want a whole scandal the night of the meeting.
well, you didn't want any, look,
Nonsense.
it's different here. So everybody is, however we're going to do it, we're going to do it openly by person by person.
Okay, we have Barbara Titlebaum.
Thank you. If there is no opposition from the floor on any of the other positions, could Barbara cast one vote for all those positions except the one that
Yes,
has more than one person to make it easier?
yes, she will.
Good, thank you.
Any questions? I love these meetings. Okay. This motion to approve to continue virtual meetings into the governor lifts the mandatory requirement.
I make the motion.
Joanne
Yes.
and Barbara Titlebaum.
I second.
Roll call.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Lucy Mujica Diaz,
Yes.
Zunera Ahmed,
Yes.
Education and Library, Lakeisha Bowers or Annette Wesley.
Yes.
Thank you, Lakeisha. Dion Brown,
Yes.
thank you. Shimon Rankowski,
Yes.
thank you. Lolita Divilova,
Yes.
thank you. Parks Committee, Susan Flashenberg or Barbara Titlebaum.
I'll take it this time. Yes.
Thank you, Barbara. Health Committee, Amaryllis Herrera or Queenie Hewling.
Queenie
Yes.
Hewley, yes.
Queenie Hewling, thank you. Elena Mackman,
Welcome.
Yes.
thank you. Jeff Sanoff,
Yes.
thank you. Michael Silverman,
Yes.
thank you. Pat Singer,
No, Pat?
Pat, you
And
did-
sorry, yes.
thank you, Pat. Okay. Jack Subin,
Yes.
thank you. Joanne Weiss,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
14
Why
yes,
she,
Chair. Thank
huh?
you. 14 yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Moving along, 2 more items and we should be done. The next one is a new business. Yelena, you want to talk about this 5G thing in Brighton?
No, we're not gonna do
You
that.
said no?
Yeah, we're gonna pass on that.
When are you gonna bring it up? Or we don't
Um,
have to,
we don't have to.
okay? Then forget about that. I said something about 5G.
Okay.
Okay, here we go again with the open meetings. We just voted on that we want to continue Zoom meetings, correct?
Yes.
Until the governor lifts the mandatory required. If
Yes,
she lifts it up tomorrow, now we have to discuss open meeting. Now we need to discuss in-person / Zoom meetings. What does that mean? As I stated before, we have to vote on this, and we weren't gonna vote on it tonight. Well, I was gonna hold it off, but I'd rather do it tonight, and if people feel that we shouldn't do it tonight, let me know. And the reason I just want to get it out of the way, because I don't know when or he or she is going to decide to lift this tomorrow. They don't know, in my personal opinion, what the left is telling the right, and neither do I half of the time. So I'm with them. Okay. Let me try to get my thoughts together here. So you have to have quorum in person in order to conduct the meeting, in order to conduct the hybrid meeting, and then the rest of the people can be on Zoom, okay? So for example, the Resiliency Committee, we need 3 people present, but we have 5, the other 2 can do Zoom. So far everyone's with me, and then we'll go, that's just one example of the committees.
Lucy, I don't understand something. If we're voting for that, we can do Zoom meetings as opposed to, togetherness. Why must we vote on a hybrid?
Okay, because I just said when the governor, we're voted into the and Jeff told me not to bring it up, but I'm bringing it up. Thank you, Jeff. You're looking at me like I told you not to do it. We voted on until the governor lifts the mandatory requirement. She could lift them tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. I don't know. If she lifts them within a week, then I have to come back, have another executive meeting to talk about hybrid / in-person meetings. I'd rather nip it in the bud and take care of it now.
But Lucy, with COVID being flexible right now and on the rise, maybe it'll go down again. I think we should wait and see what's going on with the disease.
No, I don't agree, because I think that they can make the decision within the next week or 10 days, and then
how about you guys let me try to get my thoughts out, and then you guys can say, we don't want to vote on this, and yes, we want to vote on it, okay? Because my thoughts are all over the place. Again, back to the, I know I'm looking crazy. Back to the resiliency. We need 3 people in person because that's the quorum. So 3 people must be in person. The other 2 can be on Zoom. What we need to also come up is with a list of those who we believe, not the individuals, but the reasoning why an individual can be in person, be on Zoom, and the other 3 are okay. I personally don't feel that we should come up with a list because people abuse that list. In addition, today they're like, oh, I don't feel well today, and I have asthma, and I don't want to get into people's medical conditions. And if you start getting into people's medical condition, we all are sick in one way or another. That's just, again, my personal opinion, but we can come up with a list of reasons why people can stay home on Zoom, and the other 3 must be in person. Okay, hopefully everybody got what I said. I am suggesting that we do only committee meetings, hybrid meetings, because the quorum is so low, and we probably will get 3 people. We are now purchasing the equipment to do this. I told Eddie to buy 2 owls, which, you put them on the table and they get to see the people on the screen. The people can see us, and we can do that. And then I also told him to buy HEPA machines. Did I say HEPA? HEPA machine, whatever. The machines to clean the office, so that way people could feel comfortable. We cannot tell people that they cannot attend because it's an open meeting. We could tell people we highly recommend that you wear a mask. If they choose not to wear a mask, I will require for them to sit in the back of the room. And then those that have masks can sit at the table, but I will push every which way possible. If there's a quorum and we only need 3 members there, that we only have those 3 members there and 1 staff member. So that means there's 4 people for 1 committee. I recommend that the full board meeting be in person, and the reasons is, one is that we need 26 people to make quorum. And if I get stuck on the train and I tell you that someone suggested to me that we do the alphabet from A to whatever to 26, and those are the ones that are going to be required for the first meeting, and then the next ones will be required for the following meeting to make it fair. But if I get stuck on the train and I tell you I was coming to the June meeting, then you lose your quorum and business is out the window. Okay, so I suggest that we do the full board meetings in person because we also don't have the equipment. The places that we're looking to meet don't have the Wi-Fi. Most of them don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have large screens. They don't have anything that will make it feasible for us to have a full board meeting. Okay, any questions?
We have Barbara Titebell.
Hmm?
Barbara?
Yeah, hi.
Sorry
Okay.
that I'm all over the place. It's just.
What
hitting me.
about if, no matter what we do, there are not going to be 26 people there every time? People may say it now, they may say it later. They could get sick all of a sudden, whatever. But what if it continues to happen that way? What plan do we have? Because if that's the way it is, then you say, right, we have to go back to Zoom. So we have.
This is only going to go in effect once the mandatory requirement.
Oh, I
is lifted.
understand that. I
Okay.
understand, Luz.
Which I don't see it anytime soon. And this is only into 2024. So after 2024, everything's in person. Take it or leave it. Leave the board. Bye. Sorry. I don't know what to say, Barbara. This is what they're telling us. I mean, I'm going to say something sarcastic. Even me. I go out, people see me on Facebook. I go here, I go there. I go to these private events. I go to, no disrespect to the restaurant, I'm just going to use his name. I go to God Julio's. I go to these events. I go here, I go there. And, you know, then when it comes to a meeting, you're saying to me, and we did request this month for June, we did request for June, the YMCA, and it looks like they might give it to us. That's a very large venue. As I said, I will tell the members that have masks on to sit in the front, and those that don't have masks, sit in the back. These are things that I would make, you know, enforce at the meetings. We're going to look for large venue places. You know, as I said, I see, and people go all over the place, and then you're going to tell me, oh, I can't go to a meeting because I can't go to a meeting, but yet I see you all over the place. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm being blunt. Selena.
I'm gonna take my hand down because you've already said you're gonna find a place that's going to be large enough to hold us, that will give us the space, and so we're not sitting on top of each other as we have been in previous meetings. So thank you
Okay.
for clarifying that.
All right.
Well, as I said, we reached out to the YMCA and we said, can we have the community room downstairs? He said that is not available. And then I said, hey, Sam, what about the gym? Which I thought it was too large for our meeting, but he said, hey, I could work with that. And I'm only saying, and I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I'm just saying it's going to be once a month. It wouldn't be the committee meetings. That's just my recommendation.
Thank you.
Zanara.
I too, I'm putting my hand down because I was kind of just going to make the point that this is just about the general body meetings, which we have a May meeting and a June meeting, right? So it's like,
it wouldn't be the May, it wouldn't even be this June. It would be once it's lifted. So she might lift it in August, September, October. That's when this voting, what we vote on now, will go in effect.
Yeah, excuse me, Chair. The governor might even
close it down
lift it on the
completely.
21st, and our meeting is the 22nd. So I don't see getting a meeting together on the 22nd. So it might have to be virtual.
Well, you know, I mean,
You got to
common
play it
sense.
by ear. You got to play it by ear.
Yeah, right. Back to Selena. Sorry.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, when you talked about the excused absences, that will still apply even.
Well, we'll
when we
have to
go.
come up with, we can come up with others. What is in our bylaws now from the top of my head is medical reasons. And I never tell anyone, I trust everyone that they have a medical excuse. You call me and you say, Lucy, you know, I'm not feeling well. And I say, okay. And, you know, and I leave it alone. But please be very well aware that though I can also say as chair, I'm not accepting it and you're absent. So even if you come up with a list, it can still be, hey, A-okay, but I'm not gonna grant it.
Okay, I didn't understand it as to be. I thought once you fulfilled whatever that list was, that you would be excused. And I understand that anything outside of that realm is at the discretion of you at this point.
All of it is a discretion, if I'm correct, and Michael will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but we're gonna come up with additional others if need be,
Okay, thank you.
without
Michael?
getting into people's personal lives, and that's where my hands are tied. I'm not gonna say, and I'm looking just because I'm looking that way, I'm not gonna say, Dion, you know, you need to prove to me that, you know, you're deathly ill, and you can't attend any meetings in person. And then where does the fairness goes in? So if you call me this month and you say, Lucy, I can't be there because I have a cold, and I say, okay, and then next month you say, oh, my toe hurts, and then the following month, and you know, that's not fair to the other people, because every month you have some kind of minor medical excuse. That's when I can say, you know what, Selena, I'm sorry, I can't excuse you. You're gonna have to be absent because every month your toes hurting. I'm just using your name. As
No, I'm thinking, but with the exception of a doctor's note, obviously.
I
if
would
you had a
never, the
long-term-
only time I would require a doctor's note if it's an excessive
That's what I'm
length of
saying.
time,
Okay.
3 to 4 months. And of course, that will go directly to the BP's office. I wouldn't even look at it. I would say, please contact ABC from the borough president's office, send them your medical note, because your attendance goes there and then they discuss that for renewals.
All right, thank you for the
Michael
clarification.
Silverman.
What I don't understand is why we're rushing to this tonight.
We're not
Considering, Lucy, my turn. Considering that we have a May meeting, which we can't, you know, do anything about. We have a June meeting, which is still under the current guidelines. And then we don't meet in July and August. So why are we rushing to it now?
So my
Thank you.
answer to you is that, number one, I don't feel we're rushing. Number two, I said it's up to the members here to decide if they want to continue the discussion, and I'm hearing everyone else. Number three, if it is lifted in the beginning of June and we meet in June and 26 people don't show up, guess what, Michael? We're meeting in July. Guess what, Michael? We're meeting in August. Because in the city charter, it says we may not meet. It doesn't say we can't meet. We have met in August on emergency meetings, and Joanne knows because she's read them.
Right.
And we have Zanera,
Yeah,
then Jack.
but hold on
Let
one
Michael
second and
finish it.
follow up, please.
Mhm.
But then, just a follow up, please.
Yes,
But then you say, you know, they can call it, you know, to change in the beginning of June. But you and I both know they're not going to make us turn on a dime to change the way that we meet. They have to go into the future, certainly at least 30, 60 days, I would assume. Okay, so it would not affect
You're giving
this
them an
meeting,
awful lot of
unless of
credit.
course you're planning.
Joanne, let him finish.
Unless, of course, you're planning at this point to have a July meeting, nothing is actually changing.
I will only hold a July meeting if they tell us in the beginning of June, let's just use as an example, that we have to all go in person. And, you know, and we would have to do the hybrid / in-person meetings. Again, I'm only recommending that the full board meetings be in person. Our quorum is so small for committees, I see no reason for us not to be able to do hybrid meetings. And we're getting the equipment for it. But that's just, again, what I'm presenting. Michael, again, anything else? Joanne, and then I'll come back to the other two raising their hand.
I just want to say Michael's giving them more credit than they deserve, because they don't deal with common sense and logic. And they could change on a dime and in 2 days and say, this is the way it is and this is what you have to do. So we'll get stuck on the short straw. So I think we're better off preparing beforehand. But that's my personal opinion.
Jack?
Yeah, I think Joanne hit the nail on the head, common sense, which there doesn't seem to be a lot going on. I absolutely feel that a virtual presence is tantamount to a physical presence. And the notion of having mandating physical presence to make a quorum, I think is ludicrous. It's also probably discriminatory if you think about it hard enough. And I would simply take exception to it. In any event, in the world we're living in now, with the risks that we have to weigh day to day with this pandemic, it gets better, it gets worse. You're at risk, and that's a very personal thing. And I don't think it's appropriate for anybody to tell us that we have to be physically there to make a quorum. It's just my opinion.
We were told, here we go, which charter, Jeff?
Article 78, you're talking about?
Yeah, we were informed that based on Article 78 of the charter, if we do not comply with when it's lifted, in-person quorum, individuals can be sued personally because you are civil servants. I know Michael's laughing, Jack's laughing. This is being recorded. Let's just laugh.
What did I say about common sense?
I laugh for the record, yes.
That's what we were, because I did question it at a meeting. I said, hey, we have a lot of, sorry, Zanera, I know you had your hand up.
If people, excuse me, Madam Chair, if people don't like that charter, they have to go to the commission, make a charter revision and make comments. This is what it is. There are a lot of rules and regulations in the charter that I don't agree with, but I'm stuck with them.
And I just want to piggyback off that, with many members or some that probably don't even know or don't even remember, community board members are civil servants. We have to comply with all city regulations. We don't get paid, but we need to follow every rule that a city employee follows.
Understood completely, but this is a situation where the city charter cannot respond to the world we're living in.
City charter is outdated, Jack, so.
What's that?
City charter, I think, is 1940. So that's another joke.
Regardless, I think it's an utter lack of common sense to follow an archaic charter and apply it to a current situation. And at the very least, I think the community board should write a letter of protest to the city.
Or
just
community.
stating that this is unfair.
I believe, and Eddie can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that all community boards in Brooklyn with district managers did sign off a letter indicating that and sending it to the governor.
Yes.
And they said, thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we have.
I rest my case.
Okay. Zanera.
I appreciate this dialogue. I think everyone has a strong opinion, and I think it's an important dialogue to have, whether we come to a decision or consensus. But I wanted to throw in that in this complicated new world that we live in, it's not just about being sick and being vulnerable. It's also about exposures. For me, I don't know the clearest guidelines, but if you are exposed, in my opinion, you should be isolating for 5 days, right? And you should then the 6 to 10 days after, you are masked if you are indoors and such, but not everyone follows those guidelines. Not everyone knows what the current guidelines are, because just how much things have changed. But I wanted to throw that out there, that in this new complicated world, more people are getting exposed. We don't know whether that exposure is very dangerous or very minor and what effect that has to others. So I wanted to throw that little complication out there. The second thing I wanted to say is I do think there's a difference between requiring a in-person quorum and requiring everyone to be in person. I think that it's just very difficult to navigate how this will be fair for everyone and how to do it. And that kind of leads me to my third point of, this discussion that we're having. I don't think it's a rushed discussion. I think it's a discussion we should be having to be prepared ourselves, but it's too unpredictable. So can I propose that if something is lifted, if there's something that comes out from the governor's office, that the executive committee meet again? Because I think the voices in this Zoom meeting are valuable. I think they've contributed to this dialogue in different ways. And I think having this discussion when the scenario comes would be helpful. And I think
And we're prepared, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think from the understanding is like, okay, May will be through Zoom. June most likely will be Zoom as well. We really should be thinking a little more further ahead. So I, you know, really appreciate everyone's opinions here. And I think when that scenario comes, I want to hear from this committee again.
I agree in a way, but also, as I said, I was sitting, and again, it's all discussion now until we decide if we want to vote moving forward, and we still got to vote on different type of excuse absences to add on. But I lost my thought with that. But again, as I said, I was hearing in the news this evening when I was at 5 o'clock that our mayor wants everything open tomorrow, and then he might just fight the governor, and the governor might fight him, and then we're in a loophole the next day. You know, I'm just trying to. I wanted to bring up the topic so people can be prepared. If people choose not to, we don't need to vote on it this evening. That's where we're at. But we've already voted on the initial one to continue virtual meetings, and that's what was required. This is not totally required of us now, but it will be. So it's good to have a discussion of it so we can be prepared. Barbara.
One thing I'd like to say, this community board, I cannot speak to others, but we have conducted business on the Zoom very well. People are respectful, we get things done, and that's something I think everyone needs to keep in their minds.
Yeah. I like Zoom meetings. I like being in my PJs. I like not doing my hair. I like that.
We'll say again.
Someday in life, we're gonna have to go back to.
I don't think we should talk
You need
about
to,
this now.
Pat, you need to raise your hand. I
Again.
have other people.
Okay, we have
But you
Lolita.
guys have to remember, what we vote on, and if we vote on this today, it will be in effect into 2024.
Okay, Lolita.
Lolita.
Yeah, I just would like to add a couple of points. I agree with Sonera. Yes, we could postpone it to the time when we have more clearance. But in the meantime, it's always good to have a contingency plan, and also brainstorming improves, like, sort of communication. When we have a small group trying to brainstorm, it's a little bit easier to control than the big board or everybody are talking together. It would be actually probably more effective if the executive committee will just offer sort of like a plan and have the rest of the group, the rest of the board just to vote for it or just have their input. But the initial plan should be probably coming from executive committee. That's number one point that I wanted to make. Another point I want to make is, okay, we're going to
want to answer that the initial plan will come from the executive committee, and that's why that's what that will stand. But again, as I said, as long as I'm chair, and if we agreed with one of my recommendations, I would say definitely committee meetings can be Zoom/in person because we have such a small quorum. I think the largest one that we have is it's this one, the 11, the executive committee, and how frequent will we meet?
Yeah,
I don't think we met once or twice within my tender. And then the full board is just hard because I used myself as an example. If I say, if I tell the office, email everybody, and 26 people guarantee that they're going to be there, Jack gets stuck in traffic, Lucy gets stuck on the train, Joanne's just not feeling well, and then all of a sudden I lose my whole quorum. At least if we say the full board is in person, we have 50 members, and chances are that 26 will show up or even more in person. And I tell you, I can't guarantee, we will look for large venues. We will hand out masks. We will tell those who are in masks they can sit in the front. If you choose not to wear a mask, because I can't force them, you will sit in the back. And as far as committee meetings, I will say to the public, thank you, but we highly recommend that you see us through Zoom. And I even told the staff, I don't need all 3 people there. We need one to take the minutes, and that's it. So
I absolutely
make it
agree
as
with
small as
you.
possible.
I absolutely agree with you in regards to the regular committee meetings, because some people also have other obligations like myself, and it's very easy for me and very convenient for me to attend
No,
a
it's
lot
not
of
for,
meetings.
no disrespect to you, but this is not for convenience of people.
No,
when we met, we meet
understand.
in person in the past.
I meet the public. What I
Okay.
mean is the public, so a lot of
Yeah,
people have
I
other
will,
obligations.
trust
Right.
me, there's
So
no
they
reason
could-
for you to be there.
Right. So what I'm saying is that's number one. But number two, I just want to add to safety of the people gathering together. There could be other methods that could be added to it. We could just brainstorm on it right now. Like in a lot of venues, people do rapid testing before they just walk in. I know it's not a guarantee.
Cannot require it.
No.
Cannot even
Okay.
require if they're vaccinated. I can't even see the card. But I
Understood.
can, or we can, I shouldn't say I, because I it's not mine, it's ours. We can say, like I said, those who wear masks can sit in the front and those who do not sit in the back.
Understood.
And if
I
you want to
didn't know
speak,
that-
I'll have a separate mic, we'll have wipes, we'll do, and then the other thing is, we'll have everybody sign in, and God forbid something happens, not that I want it to happen, we have that list that we can shoot an email out to those that were present. When you're at Gargiulo's, you don't have that list. You contact Gargiulo's and they might contact the 100 people that were there, but you don't know them. At least you know these people.
Okay.
Some of them. Who's Pat Singer? Pat Singer.
Joanne.
Well, Pat was going to interrupt us in a minute, so I'm trying to get her in there. Well, when you come back, Joanne.
Now, I just want to say, I listened to Zanera, and you assume, and you know what they say about people that assume things, that the governor is going to wait till next month or September or October. And like I keep saying, she could decide tomorrow. And then where are we? We're up the creek. That's the only reason why I think we have to settle this now, because we just can't assume that she's not going to do it this month or next month and leave us in the lurch, because they really don't give a good darn about what they do and what position they put us in, because they're after themselves. That's it.
I totally agree. I also where it's a political season and it's a campaign season.
Absolutely.
Means people make political decisions. And that's kind of why I wanted to suggest that whenever the decision drops, this committee gets together as an emergency meeting, whether everyone can make it or not, at least we get these voices in that decision. But I also understand the different perspectives of wanting to be prepared. Just hoping we could find a common sense decision in a not so common sense world sometimes.
Okay, we have Pat
Singer.
I'm back.
Yes.
I'm just saying, I just don't think it's as big a problem as you're thinking it is. I don't think the mayor's office or the governor's office is so stupid that they're going to say tomorrow.
Are we taking bets? Are we taking bets? You want to bet on that?
I bet $10 they won't pull a 24-hour thing. They know you have people to invite, and I have to.
Well, let me ask you a question, because I don't have it in my head.
Yeah.
Didn't when it came to restaurants, it was like only a 1 week notice or something like that?
Yeah, not even.
Or some type of topic, wasn't it like that? Even for the rides, it was like, hey,
was
2 weeks, rides are opening up. And
it was
leave it, Jack. On 3 weeks, it was overnight. If I remember, I was sitting home and they said, okay, tomorrow you don't have to wear a mask when you go to Stop and Shop. I mean, I don't know. These are the things that I heard.
You're right.
But again, I'm gonna go back to Jeff. We would just have to use, if they tell us 2 days before our board meeting, well, you know what? Sue all of us, because there's no way I can do it. But if it's 2 or 3 weeks, if there's a week or two in between, and as I said, Eddie's already looked for locations and we already have them tentatively scheduled to use them. But here's the catch to this too, because we are required to send out notices 7 days in advance. So we now know that we have a 7-day window to wait. So if they tell us on the 5 days before our meeting, write a letter saying to them, thank you, but you know what? According to you guys, we are required 7 days to notify the public. You gave me 5 days. I cannot, this is not feasible.
That's
And then
right.
we'll do the following month. So, any other questions?
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Not only that, if we have the in-person 2 or 3 days in advance notice, it's impossible for the staff to have the printouts for everything that has to be done with the minutes that Barbara does and the minutes of the committees. It can't be done in 3 days.
So we'll use the 7-day required meeting notification.
Right. So there you go.
So now I have a question for everyone. Do you guys kind of, who disagrees with me in my recommendation about the committee meetings? You know, that they should be virtual and because we are required to.
I agree with that. Yeah, because we have more often for these committee meetings during the month.
Is there anyone that disagrees with me? Okay. Now, does anyone disagree with me with my recommendation for the full board meetings? Okay, so I would like to do a roll call on who disagrees on that. So that way we can know where we're going with that. And then, but this is not the roll call to have it. This is just to have an idea where we're going. And then if we want to, we could talk about excuse absence, you know, additional excuse absences. And if majority agrees with the full board meeting in person, then we can probably do a motion to vote. So on this one, Hannah, you need to call everyone because it's a decision of all.
Okay, Madam Chair, and this is if.
I'm sorry, what was Zanera? Did I confuse you? Because I'm confused myself.
Yeah, if you could just repeat the entire thing we're just voting on in a sentence.
We're not voting on anything. Let's start with that. I asked if you agree with me if anybody opposes or disagrees with me with the committee, the way that I would like to run the committee meetings, which would be quorum in person and the remaining people home, etc. And that no one said that they would have a problem with that because we're going to be required in quorum anyway. We could do virtual board meetings, but again, I'm not going to find it that it's going to be feasible with this community board. And that's why I'm recommending. Some people said they don't like that. So that's where I'm doing the straw poll as to see where we're going. Good? Okay.
Okay, so this is a vote if.
It's not a vote.
There is no vote.
Okay, got it. So you're asking if they disagree with you to have the in-person committee meetings, correct? Only committee meetings now?
Yeah, no, I didn't say that. In-person full board meetings.
Oh, in-person full, okay. Okay.
So May.
Yes, go ahead, Michael.
You've got to make it again into it's a straw poll vote. It's a sense of the board is actually what you're asking for. Okay, but you need to clear up what we're voting on. So if I understand it correctly, the chair is asking us our opinion about live board meetings, whether we agree with it or not. Is that correct?
Correct. So if you agree for in-person board meetings, say yes. If you disagree, say no. And it is a straw. It's not it's a
sense of the board.
Sense of the board. Thank you very much. I love my board members because they help me out. So Nina, you have a question before we move forward?
Yes. So this particular consensus that's being done is just to say, okay, yay or nay, we're in agreement of the full board meeting, but it does that's another conversation that's going to come out with what are the guidelines for being excused. That's
yes.
a separate.
If we feel we need to move on, and if we don't, then I'll see you in another month or in a few weeks, and we'll have this whole topic again.
All right, thank you.
Roll call now, Madam Chair?
Yes, Hannah.
Okay, thank you. Lucy Mujica?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Zunera Ahmed,
Yes.
Lakeisha Bowers, Lakeisha? Okay, I'll have to come back to you, Lakeisha. Annette Wesley,
Agreed.
okay. Dion Brown,
Yes.
Shimon Rinkowski,
Yes.
Lolita Divilova,
Yes.
Susan Flaschenberg,
Yes.
Barbara Teitelbaum,
No.
Amaryllis Herrera,
No.
Queenie Hewling, okay, I'll come back to Queenie. Yelena Mackin,
Yes, like we have a choice. We don't have a choice.
Jeff Sanoff,
Yes.
Michael Silverman,
No.
Pat Singer,
Thinking, I will live up to my responsibility, yes.
Jack Subin,
No.
Joanne Weiss.
No.
Okay, I'm coming back to Lakeisha Bowers.
Lakeisha had to leave.
Yeah, she's not here.
Oh,
She left.
okay. So there's no vote, okay. And who else am I missing here?
Queenie Hewling.
Yes, hi, oh, hi, Queenie. Yes, what is your
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
Okay, your vote, yes, okay. All right, I'm gonna tally it up, Madam Chair.
What happens with this consensus?
If
Or if there's no-
majority votes yes, then we will vote on having committee meetings hybrid and in person. And we will have full board meetings in person.
When the governor says so.
Correct.
Excuse me, Madam Chair,
Yes.
because you just mentioned, because of what you just said, I now understand. May I change my vote, please?
Madam
I'm so
Chair, may I
sorry.
do this?
I'm so sorry. I got confused. I'm so
I'm so
sorry.
sorry. I'm confused too, Ms. Dion.
Oh my
I'm so
God.
sorry.
Madam Chair, I have to ask you, do I have permission to change Dion's vote, or do I have to
It's
go?
not even a vote, it's a poll.
Oh,
So
the
go ahead,
poll,
Dion.
the poll, I
Poll yourself
apologize,
away.
I used the wrong
Jump
word.
on the poll.
Okay, so
So it's
Dion, I'm
gonna-
changing your answer from in favor to opposed, correct?
Correct, correct.
Thank you. Okay, let me change this here. Any, is there?
Thank you so much.
We can vote differently on the
Yes.
actual vote, because this was a.
Yeah, but I don't think you, why would you, but hey.
I'm just confused, because
Me too.
I want to do what's best because everyone's situation is very different and the world we're.
Well, here's the deal, Zanera. Well, first, let me get the tally. Yelena, I'll go to you. Here's the deal, guys. I was trying to make it as easy as possible for this community board, okay? And if and when it's lifted, we're gonna have no choice but to do virtual / in person. So the committee committee meetings are in stone, not in stone, but until we vote, what looks like it's going to be agreed on. The full board meeting, we don't have the equipment. We're looking for space. I am having a hard time to look for spaces. And to have 24 people virtual board members, and I'm only speaking of board members, and then the public, it is what it is, because it all depends who wants to come, whatever they want to hear, then they'll chime. To me, I find that a difficult challenge. It's going to be a very difficult challenge. Again, if Jack gets stuck coming home from work, Lucy's coming home from work, and the 26 that promised that they would be there cannot be there. That's the only reason that I brought her. I would agree with everyone else. Let's do virtual / in person, and then we can go from A to whatever the letter comes up to, Jeff, to make it, the 26th. But then you know what? You're twisting someone's arm that they must be there. And you know what? If I get invited to a $300 dinner that night, I'm not coming to the community board meeting, and there's your quorum. But at least the other person, Dion Brown, which wasn't in the alphabet letter, she decided I want to go anyway. And there's your 26. This is, again, the only reason that I'm suggesting this way. Doesn't mean it has to be agreed on. I'm just telling you why I came up with this. And I'm not the brightest peanut. Yelena.
Again, let me repeat what I said. I do believe, after everything you explained, that we don't have a choice. And since we have discussion, maybe people who feel, otherwise, maybe they have ideas how we can have a virtual / in-person full board meeting. I don't see it.
I asked people a few months ago, sorry to interrupt you. I asked this community board. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm done. That's it.
Oh, I asked people a few months ago at a full board meeting to please let the staff know if anyone knows of anyone that is a real tech person. I got 2 phone calls. I asked this full board to please look for board locations in this community. I got 0. So we're a needle in a haystack. No one wants to host us because of COVID. And some of those places that are hosting us, they might charge a fee, they might not charge a fee. And some of them are just too small. But again, I'll do my very best to get large venues. And I used an example that the YMCA is in somewhat of an agreement with us to let us use the gym. And if you don't find that a big enough space, then I'll go to God Jewelers and I'll buy everyone chicken.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Liz.
Go ahead, Barbara.
If there are people unmasked, could be unvaccinated, whatever, and you're there, it could become a super spreader really fast, no matter how far apart we are.
So let's
And
go back to Yelena's question. Let me first go with the straw poll. Hannah?
Yes, ma'am. It's 10 in favor, 6 opposed, and 1 no vote.
Well, who's no vote? Because they're not here, so that doesn't count.
Keisha, yeah, no vote. So
Okay, so majority rules yes. Okay,
Yes.
but that doesn't mean that's the vote. So now we come up with suggestions to those that said no, so we could nick it in the butt. Zanera.
I'm not necessarily a yes or no. I want to make that clear because I think this is complicated. And I do think we need to think about our capacity and our capability for staff and the people that will actually be conducting the meeting. My question is around the word accessibility. Some people in-person meetings are the way that they would be engaged with Community Board 13. For some people, Zoom is the way that they can reach our Community Board 13 meeting. How do you balance this? For my job at Brooklyn College, we do hybrid meetings, and it's a whole production and it is difficult. And I really, struggle with how do you make sure everyone is actively participating and has the ability to participate. So I wanted to throw that out there because I do think, I think some people found Community Board 13 to be more accessible to them when we were on Zoom and they were able to join and stay for the full meeting and participate and juggle family life and everything else that they were doing. But for some people, technology is not it for them and they have issues and they might want to be in person. Speaking for myself on a personal level, if we had the ability to be in person, I would want to do that. I would go, I'd sign up, I'd volunteer to be in person because I find it to be more engaging, more community centered. I want to, see people and talk to people, whether we have masks or not. But my situation is not everyone's situation. There are other things people are considering into this. So I wanted to throw the word accessibility out there. I know someone, and I believe it was Jack, speaking about, if this is fully in person, how it might be seemed as inaccessible for some. So I wanted to kind of open that out there.
Let's just hypothetically say that we have all the bells and whistles and, we're fortunate enough to have this large 300, inch screen TV and, and Eddie knows how to use the projector and it projects and the laptop goes that way and et cetera, et cetera. Let's just Let's say we're in Yankee Stadium, or let's use the Brooklyn Cyclones location. Let's say we have that. I have everything virtual. I need 26 bodies in person, period. Here's the discussion. How do I get 26 people there in person fairly? Then we have to discuss the additional excused absences. So I had COVID 3 times. I'm scared to go. Okay, so Zanera doesn't want to go to anyone. So now, okay, but you know what? Joanne says, you know what? That's not fair. She had COVID 3 times. That's great. She doesn't want to come to any meetings in person. But yet I don't feel well that day, but I'm on the list to come to that meeting because I have 26. Now she's being forced, and Zanera had that extra excuse absence. The topic here is how do we, well, it is the bigger picture because we don't have the technology, but the main part is if we did have the technology, how do I get 26 members there? Jeff.
Unfortunately, not everybody is going to be satisfied. It's never going to happen. I mean, there was sometimes I could have 3 Zoom meetings in one day. It's very convenient, but that's not the responsibility of the community board members. Community board members have to be, if the rule is, have to be in person to have a quorum to get anything done, whether it's ULURP or licensing. That's the rules, unless the rules change. Unless the governor says, oh, we're going to lift everything, but now everything can be virtual. So, you got to go by what the rules are. We have bylaws in our community board. We have to go by what the bylaws say, not what everybody, just feels. Some people have to take care of some elderly parents at home because of that.
But did they have to take care of the elderly parents prior?
I don't know. Maybe it just came up because of COVID.
But they attended the meetings, right? Because they
but
wanted to
maybe
be a
it's
board member.
Exactly.
And because 3 or more consecutive absences, you get booted out at the recommendation of the board.
That's true. But it could have happened just in the last couple of years that
And
somebody
again,
got
this
sick.
is to 2024.
So each individual person, if we come into the part where they have the in-person and they feel they can no longer come in person for whatever reason they have to resign from the board. It's plain and simple. That's my opinion.
We have Susan.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was just going to bring up a point that Jeff just made. I think it is not useful to project what people are going to do and what people are not going to do, because it depends on where we are when it does come to the point where you have to be in person. I think what's going to happen is when we do have to meet in person, if the pandemic is still going on, and it will be, because this is not going away, and if people are still getting sick, I think you're going to have a problem in getting a quorum in person. I don't think there's going to be any question about that. Now, it's not just going to affect our community board. It's going to affect every community board across the city. And what's going to happen is city leaders are going to see that community boards are not getting things done. And I can also see in some circumstances that people are going to say, I value my health more than my role in the community board, so I am going to resign. And now you've got the problem with vacancies. So I think it's very difficult to predict human behavior, especially in these times. And when you take a look at the composition of our board, take a look and see how many board members are over the age of 60. Yeah, I am, which makes us more vulnerable.
You don't look it, Sue, don't worry.
Well, thank you very much. You're very sweet. But the point is this. I think it's very helpful to have this conversation because it gets the wheels turning. But I think once reality hits and we are all required, or at least 26 of us are required to be in person, I think it's going to be a real struggle to get the quorum, because there are going to be people who are going to say, nope, I'm staying home. Now, I may come based on the fact that I'm feeling well and I'll wear 3 masks. I don't know how I'm going to feel when it does come to pass. So I think this is a very useful exercise, Lucy. I really do. It's getting us thinking. But until the decision is made and people have to decide whether they're going to show up or not, that's going to be on the day of the in-person board meeting.
And I'm glad you brought a couple of things up, and one is and I agree, what you're saying, and maybe, we'll do another straw poll as to should we vote on this tonight or just have another meeting when it gets closer to, but at least we have the wheels turning. And for example, as you just said, let's just say I was one of the individuals to say I'm coming, I'm attending the board meeting, and then I find out 2 days later I have COVID or something, and I can't attend. There's your quorum. And, and again, that was why I was really adamant on full participation at the full board meetings, and promised and have promised that if I'm still chair during that time, that I will make every effort to have large venues and masks and, all the bells and whistles, that everyone throws at us. And if we can oblige by them, and leave the committee meetings as is. So those, again, were the reasonings for my recommendations as well. Susan, go ahead again.
Just a quick add-on. I think what we need to decide, since the possibility of requiring in-person quorum is a real possibility, then we go with that thought. We plan for it in the hopes that we have all available information.
Well, it is real.
Right.
Well, it will be.
What I'm saying is we do whatever we can. We have a large meeting venue. We require, I don't know if we can, but we require that everyone that comes to that meeting wear a mask, whether masks are required by the mayor or not. And go forward from there. Everybody that comes to an open meeting should be protected, and that requires everyone wearing a mask. Those that don't want to wear a mask don't show up. So
Michael, can we require them to wear a mask?
You can't require them. You cannot ask them if they've been vaccinated, but we could say, sit in the back row in the bleachers.
Okay.
And sit in the front row if you're having a mask. And yes, we can.
Okay.
And everyone would sign in, get their contact information, God forbid an outbreak. Jeff. You're muted. Sorry, Zanera, I'm not looking at the chat. If you want to speak on something, or Pat, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's a very, very personal decision here about this COVID. It's going to, like Susan said, it's not going away. We're going to have to learn how to live with it. I mean, just for an example, I went to an event last week and nobody was wearing a mask. I had the discussion with my wife as to whether or not to go because she's a severe asthmatic, and we decided to go. So everybody has their own individual reason or reason not to go. And this is going to be a continuous type of dilemma that people are going to have. So we have to work out, if we need a quorum, we got to figure out how to get 26 people there that we can count on, or alternates to count on to be there if somebody does come down with COVID, or somebody gets sick, or somebody gets on the train.
More in additional, the equipment. We don't want it's the locations we're using. It's not feasible, or they don't have Wi-Fi, or we don't have, again, the screen. We don't have this. We don't have that. Okay.
So that's why you need the quorum. I understand that. the vote.
No, that's why you need all in person, full board. The quorum is if you can do the virtual part.
Okay,
Oh,
I got that.
okay. Zanera.
I appreciate everything Susan said. I think it really added to my, at least, internal dialogue that I'm having in my head. I also think the willingness of board members to attend in person or not in person, I think they're going to look at where we are in the pandemic, right? And just for example, if we are talking about the September meeting, right? If numbers are all-time low and people are seeing that, infection rates are not that bad, there's not a new variant, 40 members might say, I want to attend in person, right? And I think that is important context, because if it is in a moment where we are right now, where we're getting categorized as high, no one's going to want to be in person, whether they're young or not, or healthy or not, or they have special conditions or circumstances. I think this virus is very scary. And I really appreciate when we're saying this is a personal choice for everyone. I think it's a really tough position to be in, to determine so far or so near out whether everyone will be in person or we're allowing some people to be virtual. I think you then open up a conversation of who's the 26 people we'd be making in person. And
one choice was do it alphabetized. And you know what? But then again, Zanera is one of the people that has severe asthma and she doesn't want to attend, again,
exactly.
What I'm hearing here, and I want to shut this down in the next 10 minutes or so. What I'm hearing is, and we can do a straw poll if you want. What I'm hearing is we're not ready to vote on this. We have the wheels turning. But what I want to hear from the members is locations, please find us locations, technology, and come up with a list of those excused absences that you feel that should be listed for severe stuff. And again, it's at the discretion of me. If you continuously call me every month, I'm going to say, you know what? And it's only because I'm looking that way. I'm going to say, Joanne, you called me the last 6 months. I'm sorry. I can't continue excusing you. And number 2, I need to report this to the BP's office. And that's and I need to let them know. And then you and them can discuss if I'm too harsh. And they can say, no, you know what? Joanne gave us a medical note. Lucy, go somewhere else. And we'll leave it there. But that's where we're going. It looks to me that we're not ready to vote, but the wheels are turning. Give me locations. Give me excused absences and give me technology.
All right, we have Celine.
Selena.
Okay, and listening to everything, I respect everybody's view on this because everyone has their own view and it is a personal issue. I think location is going to be a major thing. And I know you're asking for places for locations and we're kind of limited out here, but I think the size of location is really, 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 really important. I think that, I think personally that we don't need to have additional reasons why we can't accept someone not coming when we already have something in place. And like you said, and if it's too many times, you address the issue.
The reason I'm going to tell you is because we were told we need to place it in the resolution. But if there are no additional, we say we have no additionals, we're complying with our bylaws.
Okay, all right, that's fair. In terms of feeling comfortable for everyone. Everyone has their own place in terms of their being comfortable in an environment. I will say this, that because someone is sitting in back of me, but I have a face mask and I'm sitting in front, doesn't make me feel any more comfortable.
Right.
But I will do my best.
But I understand that you're putting guidelines down. No, I appreciate that.
The bleachers and you be VIP. I'm saying.
I appreciate the fact that you're at least addressing the issues and coming out with some precautions.
And bleachers are not cheap anymore. We found that out from the amphitheater, like $80 for a bleacher seat.
Oh my goodness. You have somebody here to discuss it later on. But I just think it's a good idea that we are discussing it. And I'm in agreement that, maybe this is something that you definitely have to extend this conversation on as we
Okay.
continue to move on. Thank you.
So again, I've heard we're gonna continue the discussion. I'm not even gonna do a straw poll as to if you want to vote on it tonight. It makes no sense. But if they call it off next week, we'll meet next week and we need to come up with a decision. And by that time, everyone, please find locations for us. Or may guarantee me that the 26 that are assigned to show up will show up. But you can't, because that person could get ill that moment. And then number 27 could have filled that spot. And then it's happened because I've gotten phone calls on my way home from before the pandemic. Lucy, we need a quorum. What time are you working till? And I had to show up the community board meeting. The meeting started maybe 7:15, 7:30 because they needed a quorum. Jeff has gotten that phone call. Zanera has gotten that phone call. Those who are entitled to vote on behalf of others. Because we can never guarantee if people work. You can't guarantee that you'll be there. You're stuck at work, etc. So where does it stand on guaranteeing me those 26 that say they will be there will be there? Any new business? We're in agreement to postpone it until.
Yes.
And we're in agreement that people are gonna find me space. And people are gonna give me yeah, Jack, I know. And we're in agreement that everyone's gonna have technology for me, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Any new business? Any old business? Lucia, are you still with us? Or did you fall asleep already? Because this is how it's gonna be.
I'm here.
Oh, I was gonna say, we're not ready to vote for you at the board meeting then. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
It was unanimous to vote you in, and we'll vote, and I mean, to have you hired, and then we'll vote on it at the full board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Maria, Navarro, you're trying to say something, but you're muted. No, you're not? Oh, yes, no? Okay. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for being patient, and thank you for my craziness, but my notes will be written much thoroughly next month. I'll have Jack take care of them.
All right.
This is a very
Good night,
complicated issue and you did a good job
Oh,
dealing with it.
and you can catch this on YouTube if you guys missed it.
Woo!
Yes. Okay.
I look forward to
Good night.
repeating this in my head. Bye.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Safe and be well.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Bye-bye. Good night.